All right, let's get through this practice test. Test number 5. Number 1, don't forget we talked about in class today, you are allowed to get extra credit on this one. You can choose to use your calculator and use the RF button. I didn't even show you that today. Or you can go by hand, and if you get that right that way, you can get 4 points added. I would do it by hand, see what happened, check with the calculator. But to get the +4, I got to see all your work like I did here. Get rid of the x's first, do an elimination, making that negative x, getting your two equations, getting rid of the y next. And once you do that, that gives you your z down here. Take the z, plug it in there to get your y over here. Once you get your y, plug your y and your z back in the top, which I did right here, to get your x, y, and z. 2 and 3, just got to describe what happened. Them are opposite of what you think inside, so it goes left 4. This one, because the 3 is inside, it's a horizontal stretch or compress. And because it's bigger than 1, it's a horizontal compress by the reciprocal, which is 1/3. Next thing is what we did on Tuesday is graphing, or Wednesday, graphing cubics. They got the regular graph up there for you. The first one has a 1/3 inside, and because it's inside, again, it's horizontal. If it was outside, it'd be vertical. And also because it's inside, it's kind of opposite of what you think. Horizontal stretch, because it's less than 1, by the reciprocal, which is 3. So what it is, I took my x-coordinates, that was 1, multiplied it by 3. Take this x-coordinate, which is -1, multiplied by 3, makes it -3. Connect the dots, la la la, and you got it. The second one just has a shift left 1 and a shift up 2. So I took all 3 points, went left 1, up 2, left 1, up 2, left 1, up 2. Drew my 2 little half parabolas there and got it. Number 6, if you graph this on the calculator, which you probably don't even need to because it's even, the ends go up like that. It said to find the domain and range, also end behavior. The domain is all reals because it goes left and right forever. The range, it does touch the 0 and it goes up forever, so it's 0 to infinity with a bracket. In behavior, remember this part right here that I'm pointing at means x goes to the left. This means x goes to the right, and the graph is going up on both ends, so you put goes to infinity. 7 and 8, you draw the graph. Couple things you need to remember here. First of all, put your zeros there. That would be a 0, the x squared. That's going to be a +2, and it's going to be a +1, so put your points there. Now figure out if it's odd or even. It's even because there's 4 x's up there, and also because all the x's are positive, it means the ends go up. And remember, it touches at the 0 because it's x squared. If it's an even exponent, it touches the x-axis. If it's not an exponent, it actually passes through the x-axis. 8 the same way. There were 3 x's. -2 makes that one 0. 1 makes that one 0. +3 makes that one. There's a negative in the front, which means it's going to go up to the left and down to the right. And because there's no exponents, no even exponents, everything just passes through. Number 9, going backwards now. It tells you it's cubic, and you just want the equation. First of all, I know it's negative because it's going up left and down right. It's supposed to do the opposite, so I put a negative sign. It touches at -2, so I put my parentheses with a square. It actually passes through at 3, so I put an x -3. 10 through 13 is what we did today. I'm not going to really talk through those. You're looking for like terms. Don't forget the minus sign. Changes all the signs in your other parentheses. But just be very careful. As you can tell, I marked that out. I made 3 mistakes out of the 4 as I was going through. You caught me on this one. I caught myself on those too. But that just goes to kind of show you, please, that's not hard at all. But please be so careful as you go through those and double check them. I'd work each one twice just to make sure. Okay, 14, circle. We've had circles several times this year already. The center, you put the opposite in the parentheses. The radius goes over here, but it's radius squared, remember. You have to square the radius. This one, y'all talked through this really well in class today. Focus is -4, 0. Directrix is x = 4, which is back here. It has to pass through the x-axis at 4. Remember, the vertex is halfway between the two, which is right there. And it has to go left because the focus must be inside. So that means the 4p has to go with the x because it goes like the x-axis does. The y squared stays over here. Now, because the vertex is 4 away from the focus, the p is 4. So I do 4 times 4, which is 16. And because it opens left, it's -16. Number 16, we've had this equation several times. Remember, h of t means the final height. h0 means initial height. And then you have the 16t squared. The final height is 0 because it's going to go all the way to the ground. The initial height is 4 minus 16t squared. So I would do it this way. I'd move the 16t squared over like I did. Divide by 16. That gives me 4/16, which is really 1/4. but that equals t squared. You need the t, so take the square root of both sides. The square root of 1 is 1, the square root of 4 is 2, you get 1/2. Now, if it doesn't work out that neat, just go ahead and punch to whatever number you have here in your calculator and put your answer there. 17, 2 bars, 2 answers. 2 bars, 2 answers. Do not distribute the 4 over absolute value. Instead, divide by 4. And I get this right here. Because it's greater than, it's an OR problem. So I'm going to set it up both ways. X minus 7 is greater than or equal to 4. Or x minus 7 is less than or equal to negative 4. That's when you do it. Don't wait till you get your answer. You do it on that step right there. That's when you set up your 2. Just move the 7 over both sides, and you end up right there. 18, solve by taking a square root, which means to solve it, you got to take a square root somewhere. So move the 100 over first, did that. Divide by 2, did that. Now that left me with an x squared, which means to get rid of the x squared, you have to take the square root. So take the square root of both sides. It gives me 50 in there. You got to break down the 50. 50 is 25 times 2. I know the square root of 25 is 5, so it comes out. I don't know the square root of 2, so I just leave the 2 in there. Number 19, find the inverse of this. Y'all are so good at this already. Switch the x and y, or, change them, interchange them. Move the 5 over, it becomes minus 5. Divide by 2, the whole side by 2. Make it one big fraction, and don't forget your notation right there. Number 20 is an absolute value graph, which is a V shape. Please draw a V. It's a minus 3, which means it shifts right 3. There's a 4 in the front, which means you're going to go up 4 over 1 instead of up 1 over 1. It changes your slope there to 4. 21 says write the interval as an inequality and interval notation. Inequality is already there. You just take out the set notation part and write the inequality. The interval notation, you go -2 to 7. 7 has a bracket because there's an equal to sign. -2 has a parentheses because there's not an equal to sign. The next 3 come from the graph right there. We've probably had that graph a couple times, the same graph. It says, where's it decreasing? It's decreasing from there to there. I don't know if you can tell my pointer. Remember, just use the x from -2 to 1. Just use your x's. So there it is. It's decreasing from -2 to 1. Now, because it has arrows on the ends, the graph right here, that means it's going left and right forever. It's also going up and down forever. That's a cubic graph, like you've seen a minute ago. Find the rate of change. Rate of change, remember, is y minus y on the top, x minus x on the bottom. Some of you still reverse that sometimes. I put my 2 x's in my denominator, -3 minus -2. To find my y's, I only looked at my graph. I found -3 on the x. It was a 0, so I put a 0 above that. I found -2 on my graph, and it was a 2, so I put a 2 up here. Subtracted the top, I got -2. Subtracted the bottom, I got -1. Got it, it's 2. 25. So by completing the square, first step, move the 7 over, it's plus 7. Then, remember the gesture, take half the middle, square it, add to both sides. Half of 14 is 7. 7 squared is 49. Add it to both sides. If you add 7 and 49, you get 56. Over here, set up your parentheses. Remember the half number, that 7, always goes inside. It's plus because it was plus up there. Take the square to both sides, which takes the square away over here. Over here, I have 56. I'm going to break that down. So I use those square numbers that we always talk about, the perfect squares. I found out that 4 goes into 56. It goes in there 14 times. The square root of 4 is 2, so I'll pull it out. I don't know the square root of 14, so it stays in. And the last thing you do is move the 7 to the other side. Keep it in the front. -7 plus or minus 2 on 14. And that's it. That's not really bad. Watch this as much as you need to, or at least some of the problems as much as you need to. I think you got a great chance to do well. If I remember right, you got 2 stars. Also, that number 1 gives you the chance to really get some extra credit, so go for that. And I will see you in the morning. I'll be there early if you need me. See ya.